Hello everyone, this is the professor from Professor Techie. I wanted to get on here today and make this video because I'm really mad. And I think I'm going to make more of these videos in the future as time allows and I get more of these types of issues. And I do repair work here in the Claremont, Florida area and the general area around. Whether you're in Leesburg, Orlando, Winter Garden, anywhere in the nearby area of Claremont. And I have a friend. She lives several hours away. She moved there a few years ago, and she had a computer issue. Well, instead of coming down to the Claremont area to get it repaired by me, she wanted to save a little time because she's busy and she doesn't have a whole lot of money, so she took it to a local repair shop. Now, this repair shop has been recommended to her by some neighbors and friends and things like that. Just a couple, not like, the whole neighborhood, but one or two people have said, hey, I took my computer here. So she takes her computer there because it's got this one issue. A little plug that you plug in the power with. It's loose when it's in there. Now, normally, as a tech, I know that if it's loose, it probably means that the power jack has been damaged inside the computer. It's a little piece of plastic is broken, and it's just shifting around in there. That's usually an easy repair. Sometimes I can just fix the plastic. Other times, I have to take and replace the component, but it's a little piece of metal and plastic and a little wire plugs into the motherboard. And it's about $5 to $15 for that part. Well, when she took it to this guy, she expected it to be done properly because he owns a store. He's a technician who's claiming to be a professional who knows what he's doing. Well, to start off with, he got this computer confused with a neighbor's computer. A neighbor who's also a friend of hers. This is why we know that he was confused about this. She had a power jack issue with this laptop. Her neighbor's laptop, she wanted it to be downgraded to Windows 7 from Windows 10. Now, I don't usually recommend that, especially considering here in 2018, we're in July. Windows 7 isn't going to be supported fairly soon, a lot sooner than people realize. But some people prefer that. So her neighbor gets her computer back with the note that there's nothing wrong with her power jack. And my friend gets her computer back and he says that he tried to downgrade it to Windows 7 and it didn't want to install. So now it's half Windows 7, half Windows 10. This is his words, okay? Not what I would say, but this is what he's claiming to say. And those words right there, a lot of people would just take those at face value that, it half installed, so it's half and half. That's not a possibility. You can't have half Windows 7 and half Windows 10. It's either one operating system or the other. You could try to install something and mess it up and then it doesn't work at all, but you can't have half of one and half of the other running at the same time. So I thought that was odd. So I told her, I was visiting her, I told her I'd take it back with me and we'd take a look at it. Well, the very first thing is I figured out what was wrong with the power jack. It actually wasn't the power jack. It was the plug that plugs in. There's a little pin in the center, and it was bent off to the side. So when she was plugging it in, it wasn't actually making contact, and it felt loose because it wasn't plugging in all the way. So I'm not really sure how he got it to run with a bent pin, but I went ahead and fixed the pin. That's working fine. There's no issue there. And I started poking around with this last night. I started going through and just seeing if there was anything wrong with the Windows install, and it booted right up, came up into Windows 10, as you can see here on the screen, and there didn't seem to be anything immediately noticeably wrong. So I'm like, okay, well, I better poke around anyways, because he's already said that there's something wrong. Well, at the same time, a pop-up came up that Windows needed an update. I knew that this hadn't been running for a month or so I went ahead and hit OK, let the update run. When the update finished, it gave me an odd error, one I should never see on a consumer's computer. And that error was that your organization has set certain policies that have prevented certain updates from installing. Now, this is a Windows 10 Pro loaded on here. I know that because it wouldn't have shown that error otherwise. And Windows 10 Pro was designed, it has certain features that were designed for corporations and offices, and it has those group policies that would make that error come up are for security measures, that certain companies want certain things turned on or off. Well, that raised some red flags with me. And I started poking around. And first of all, the touchpad doesn't work. Now, it works fine if you're booted into a disk, live OS like Linux or something. Touchpad works perfectly fine. It's not a hardware issue, but it doesn't work within Windows. So I started poking around. No issues with the driver. Everything's installed correctly. It just doesn't work at all. I thought he had it turned off somewhere, but no, it's just broken. So I'm poking around, and this is a touch screen, so I'm able to, so I'll turn a little bit when I'm doing this. And I opened it up and I look at the program list. And I deal with a lot of computers. And there are a number of people over the years who have pirated Windows and pirated Office. So I know what tools they use to do this with. And sure enough, the fourth one down, KMS Pico. That one right there is for piracy. It's meant to pirate copies of Windows and copies of Office. It's like a little go-between that prevents the software from communicating with Microsoft servers. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, why is there a piracy toolbar in here? And I'm looking around and I'm like, well, maybe he pirated Office. So I open up Office. And it's Office 2010. And normally that wouldn't be anything major, except that this machine is from 2016. No, 2017. I'm sorry. It's just over a year old. And it's a very new system, so there should be no issues with this. If you were to install Office and you wanted to pirate it, I would expect him to go with 2016, especially considering this was in his shop a month and a half ago. And there's also another version in between those two, 2013. And then it hits me. I'm looking at this menu and I'm looking at the start menu. I'm like, wait a second. This isn't even a Windows 10 start menu. This looks like Windows 7. This is what the Windows 7 start menu kind of looked like here on the right side of that menu. It doesn't have the little squares the little square buttons. I think they're called tiles. That's what Microsoft calls them. And it doesn't have them. So I go ahead and I'm like, well, what's going on here? And I open up Control Panel, and I go down and I open up the system. And sure enough, it's Windows 10, Windows 10 Pro. It's a decent system. It's got good specifications on it, so it's not like it's going to be slow, and it's very responsive. It's got a nice solid state drive in it and everything. So I'm like, well, okay, I know what this is then. It must be running a custom theme. And of course, you notice that the start menu looks like a seashell instead of the little Windows orb. So it's running the custom theme to make it look kind of like Windows 7. I notice this little icon down here at the bottom of the screen I'm going to push. And it looks like a little upside down triangle with a snake in it. Viper Rescue. I don't know of Viper Rescue. And I've been working on computers for over 15 years. I've never heard of this software, so I look it up. It's supposed to be a virus removal tool. It's not a very good one. It doesn't have very good ratings online. Hence why I've never heard of it, because I only use the ones with good ratings. And none of my friends, none of my other professionals that I deal with have ever really told me about this software or mentioned that they use it. We all kind of use the same tools. And this is not one I've heard of. So it's not a well-known piece of software. It's not going to probably work very well. And I mean, I'm sure whoever made it probably did a very good job with what they were attempting to do, but there are better options out there, better tools. So why did he do this? Well, I'm looking at all this and I'm noticing some points here that I really want to try to really kind of emphasize. Because I know he's pirating Windows for multiple reasons. Not only is KMS Pico on here, there's a custom theme installed, a custom orb, which normally that wouldn't be a big issue because I've installed custom themes and orbs on Windows 10 machines for other customers, like people who are gaming and they want a really cool looking desktop. But he's also got this little case ID down here, little text file, which means he had difficulty installing it, and he probably ended up calling Microsoft to activate it over the phone. All of this together just tells me from past experience and what I know about how people pirate stuff that he had issues installing this. Like, he didn't really know even how to pirate it, really. He thought he understood it, and he tried to install it, and he probably ran into a lot of issues. And the end result is this. It's this horrible installation. It's got issues with it. It's got errors. It's got parts of it that aren't working. It's just a bad install. Now, her files are here, which means that he pulled it off of her her machine before he reinstalled it. That's a nice thing. But here's the real kicker, okay? This is a fairly new machine. It came with Windows 10. It had a valid Windows 10 license key. So where is it? Why didn't he deactivate that license, pull it off the machine, and use it to reinstall Windows 10? That would have been a valid thing. He wouldn't have had to do any piracy. It had a license, but he didn't do that, which means he doesn't know how. Okay? Because it's not hard. It's a very simple process to do that with. So if he doesn't know how, why is he even pirating? Why is he calling himself a tech if he doesn't even know how to do some of the simplest things that us techs handle? When we're dealing with an OEM system, we always pull the key off. If we have to reinstall it, we have to pull the key off. Because we're not going to pay for a whole other key. License keys for Microsoft software is expensive. If you're buying an OEM key, we're going to pay a minimum of $50 to $80 for an OEM key, not to mention retail. And for Windows 10 Pro, I believe it's $200 retail. So this is not a good idea to just forget the old key and try to install a new one. So why didn't he do that? We all know how, all of us techs know how to do this. We know how to pull the key off. We know how to reuse it in the new system. What on earth was he thinking? I don't know. If he tried to install Windows 7, which I very much doubt it would work with the hardware this has, it would throw some errors out. It's got a UEFI BIOS and things like that. And there's ways around that, but you really have to know what you're doing to do that. So if he did try to install Windows 7 and just forgot the key because he thought, oh, I'm not going to have to use it, and then it didn't work, and he didn't know how to fix it, and then he tried to install Windows 10 and didn't have the key, so now he's pirating it, okay? The reason he's got the Viper malware removal is if he's pirating it, he's probably downloaded, especially from the fact that it's got a custom theme installed. That's not a simple process. So if he doesn't know how to do the rest of it, I doubt he installed the theme. He probably went and torrented a pirated copy of Windows 10 that already had all this installed on it and used that. Now, if you pirate software, you're probably going to end up with viruses, okay? He probably had one and then used this tool to remove it, or maybe he thought he had one and used this tool to try to remove it. I don't know which it was because I wasn't there. But I can tell from what he has installed kind of the steps he wanted to do. So what am I going to have to do to this? Well, I've already pulled all of her data back off of here, and I'm going to wipe out the system. I'm going to wipe the partition table and completely reload Windows 10. Now, I've now had to purchase a brand new license for Office. I've had to purchase a brand new license for Windows 10. And I've purchased a license for security software. I'm going to be using ESET on this to protect her against viruses and malware. So this has made me very mad. I mean, I get upset when I see things like this with my customers because I hate to see people who are claiming to be as good as I am, claiming to be as good, and know what they're doing and getting paid to do it and messing up people's computers. And I'm doubly mad because it's my friend. So I think I'm going to make some more of these videos. I'm not going to show any personal information, but when I get a computer like this that has had a real issue from another store or another tech who's claiming to know what they're doing, and they obviously don't, I'm going to make some more of these videos and show you what's going on, what I deal with, how much I have to go through to fix other technicians' problems, okay? So if you're in the Claremont area and you've got an issue, you've taken your computer somewhere and you've been quoted a ridiculously high price, or you've had your system reinstalled and it's not working right, or something seems shady, bring it to me, okay? Let me take a look at it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to be able to tell you what's going on with it. I'm going to be able to tell you what kind of happened to it. And I'm going to be able to fix it for you. And if you're not in the Claremont area, send me a message anyway. Go to ProfessorTechie.com, go to my Contact Us page, type up a message, kind of what happened to you, and just let me know. I'll let you know if it seems shady to me. I try to respond to everyone within 24 hours, and I'm gonna see if I can't recommend you someone. It depends on the area. I don't know every technician in every area, but I have friends around the country who work on different computers in different places. So if you have a computer that's messed up, I may recommend you to someone I know. I know a lot of people who are very good. They're at least as good as I am, and I would prefer you going there rather than taking it to some random shop and you just don't know what's going on. So I wish you all a good day, and I hope to see you soon. I may even make a video on the steps it takes to fix this machine, since I'm going to have it for a little while, and show you kind of the process, what's going to have to happen to fix it. So stay tuned, check out my site, and let me know what's going on. Have a good day.